Hello, hello! Pete's Pax here with March of the Machine, Commander Deck number 5. This is Growing Threat, the white-black precon. So without further ado, let's see what we get. Okay. Now, this precon is a little different than the others with what's included, in that it has a different set of tokens. So we still get our black envelope with our plane chase cards and our March of the Machine sealed, our collector booster sample pack. So the next video we will be opening all 20 of those. So exciting times. But the difference in this one is instead of having 10 +1/+1 counters, there's actually 3 different counters. One for, I believe, trample, and I don't know what the other 2 are, but it's alright. Alright. As with the others, we have a deck box. It's a fold-down tuck box. And we have our mini dividers, / mini tokens. And this one comes with a red and pearlescent white, or I guess pearlescent white with red symbols, planar die. And let's see, so with our deck, I had to step away for a moment, so I paused. So still have the filler piece. As with the other decks, we have branded life counter and an insert. The insert, we have as with the others, we have an overview of the base commander, overview of the deck itself, nice little portrait of the commander, and then special rules for commander and plane chase, and brief summary. Okay. With that covered, let's get into the deck. So starting things off, we have Brimaz, Blight of Oreskos. So 2 white and a black. Whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature, it's a Phyrexian cat legend, 3/4. Whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature or artifact creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. At the beginning of each end step, if a Phyrexian died under your control this turn, proliferate. Okay. So he is the lead face commander. One moment. Sorry about that, getting a lot of calls today. Alright. So we have Brimaz as our face commander. Then we have Moira and Tashar. So 3 white and black, we get a Phyrexian Spirit Bird, 4/5 flyer. That has, whenever you cast a historic spell, return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Artifacts, legendary, sagas, and sagas are historic. Okay, interesting. We have good old Bojuka Bog. Great. Graveyard Hate, Command Tower, Commander Sphere, Evolving Wilds, we already know what those do. Necrosphere Gargantua. So whenever it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and lose 1 life, and it has Unearth for 3. We have Fractured Power Stone, one of the Plane Chase specific cards. Oh, sorry about that. Allergies are kicking my tail today. So it's a mana rock for 2 that taps for a colorless. And you can also roll the planar die as a sorcery. We have Goldmire Bridge, one of the artifact lands from Modern Horizons 2. It's the black-white one. Night's Whisper. Draw 2, lose 2. Orzhov Locket, another mana rock. That for 3 mana taps for a white or a black. And then for hybrid white-black, you can sack it to draw 2 cards. So Orzhov Signet, you know what that does. Path of Ancestry, same. Phyrexian Ghoul. This was also recently reprinted in Dominaria Remastered. It is effectively a Phyrexian version of Nantuko Husk. So 2 and a black, 2/2, sack a creature, give it +2/+2. Until end of turn, which is fantastic sack outlet, and also just a good way to close out the game. And then we have Phyrexian Rager, another recent reprint in the same set. 2 and a black, when it enters, you draw a card and lose a life for a 2/2. Sorry about that, I had to pause and get some water. Silver Quill Campus is from Strixhaven. Taps for a white or a black, comes into play tapped, and you can also pay 4 to scry. Terramorphic Expanse, we know what that does. Wayfarer's Bauble, 1 mana artifact, 2 and tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Okay. Hedron Archive, mana rock for 4, taps add 2 colorless, 2 and sack it to draw 2 cards. Ambition's Cost, 3 and a black, draw 3 cards, lose 3 life. Arcane Signet, we all know what that does. Bloodline Pretender, so it's 3 mana 2/2 Changeling. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Bloodline Pretender. Interesting. Then we have Bone Shredder. It's for 2 and a black, you get a flying 1/1 with Echo, 2 and a black. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. So it's terror on an Echo creature. Burnished Heart, 3 mana 2/2, 3 and sack it, search your library for 2 basic lands, put them into play tapped. Despark, one of the premium pieces of removal. For a white and a black instant, exile target permanent with mana value 4 or greater. And good old Go for the Throat, kind of an all-star in Standard right now. 1 and a black instant, destroy target non-artifact creature. We have Grave Sifter. This is from the, I believe, Modern Horizons 1. But for 3 and a black, you get a 2/2 Changeling. And when it enters the battlefield, you may return a card from your graveyard to your hand. So those all, of course, count as Phyrexians. Then we have Kesket, the Flesh Sculptor. 2 and a black, legendary Phyrexian Human Artificer. It's a 1/3. Tap it and sacrifice 3 other artifacts and or creatures you control. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 2 of them in your hand and the other into your graveyard, and this does have partner. So this can partner with a white creature to be your commander pair. Master Splicer, 3 and a white, 1/1. When it comes in, you create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token, and golems you control get +1/+1. And good old Meteor Golem, 7 mana 3/3. When it comes into play, you destroy a non-land permanent an opponent controls. Ichor Elixir, this is one of the Plane Chase exclusive cards. So 4 mana rock, taps to add 2 colorless, and if you would roll 1 or more planar dice, instead roll that many +1 and ignore 1. We have Blight Titan. So 4 black, Death Touch, or 6/6 Death Toucher. Whenever it comes into play or attacks, mill 2 cards, then incubate X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Now this can get out of hand very quickly. Darksteel Splicer, 6 and a white, for a 1/1. Whenever it or a non-token Phyrexian enters the battlefield under your control, create X 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of opponents you have. This can spit out a boatload of tokens very quickly. And then golems you control have indestructible. Now keep in mind, the shapeshifters are also golems, so that does give shapeshifters indestructible as well. Excise the Imperfect, 1 white instant, exile target non-land permanent. Its controller incubates X, where X is its mana value. Fantastic piece of removal. Filigree Vector, 3 and a white. It's a Phyrexian construct and a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on it for put a 1/1 counter on each of any number of target creatures and a charge counter on each of any number of target artifacts. 1 and tap it, sacrifice another artifact, proliferate. That is huge. So this plus things that interact with charge counters can be very big, like Staff of the Magistrate, for instance. So you could use this to potentially take extra turns with that. And we have Path of the Schemer, 4 and a black. Each player mills 2 cards. Then you put a creature card from the battlefield from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's an artifact in addition to its other types. Then Will of the Planeswalkers. So this is one of the Plane Chase. Yeah, Plane Chase exclusive cards. Starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalker Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more votes, Planeswalk. If Chaos gets more votes or is tied, Chaos ensues. You have Bitterthorn, Nissa's Animus. 3 mana living weapon equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. And whenever equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So this is very similar to Sword of the Animus, except it comes with a creature to immediately get value from it. Vulpine Harvester, 3 and a white. Whenever 1 or more Phyrexians you control attack, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to their total power. This can be huge. Just lets you keep bringing stuff back every turn while you're attacking. We have Cataclysmic Gearhulk, 3 white, Vigilant 4/5. It's a construct. When it enters the battlefield, each player chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. So a good way to clear out a bunch of stuff. We have good old Massacre Worm, 3 black, for a 6/5 Phyrexian Worm. When it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. So very good way to just blow out your opponents and wipe the board. Noxious Gearhulk, 4 black. This, along with Cataclysmic, were just absolute bombs back in Kaladesh. So it's a 4/5 menace. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy another target creature. If a creature is destroyed this way, you gain life equal to its toughness. We have Phyrexian Scriptures. This was originally from Dominaria, I believe. So 2 black, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Then destroy all non-artifact creatures, and then exile all opponents' graveyards. It's not all graveyards, just your opponents. Phyrexian Triniform, 9 mana, 9/9 with Encore 12. When it dies, create 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature tokens. And then the Encore 12, exile, so 12 mana, exile it from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So each of those will also create 3/3 colorless Golem tokens. So that ends up being a total of, afterward, like it leaves behind a total of 36 power. 3 from this originally, and then if you have 3 opponents, 3 from each of those that die. Then we have Soul of New Phyrexia, 6 mana, 6/6 Trampler. 5 mana, permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So, good way to skirt around board wipes that don't exile. And then 5 mana, exile it from your graveyard. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So you can also use it from your graveyard. Then we have Ancient... Sorry about that. We have Ancient Stone Idol. It's a 10 mana, 12/12 with Flash. Costs 1 less for each attacking creature. Now, that's not necessarily your attacking creatures. That could be your opponent's attacking. And it doesn't have to be attacking you either. Trample, when it dies, create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with Trample. So, very interesting card. Angel of the Ruins, 5 white for an artifact creature angel. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and/or enchantments, and it has plane cycling for 2. It's a 5/7. These all play in with the Vulpine, whatever it is, Vulpine Harvester. So you're going to be doing a lot of playing out of your graveyard with these. Then we have Blade Splicer, 2 and a white for a 1/1. Creates a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token, and golems you control have first strike. Then we have Coveted Jewel, so for 6 mana, when it comes into play, draw 3 cards. Tap to add 3 mana of any one color. And whenever one or more creatures attacks an opponent, or whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of Coveted Jewel. Untap it. So it can be a fantastic mana rock, but it also can be a liability. Something to consider. Duplicant. 6 mana, 2/4 with Imprint. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. The non-token part can be very important. As long as a card is exiled with Duplicant is a creature card, it has power, toughness, and creature types of the last creature that was exiled with it. It's still a shapeshifter. We have Exotic Orchard, we all know what that is. Fetid Heath, one of the filter lands originally from, I believe this was Shadowmoor? Karn's Bastion, Proliferate Engine from War of the Spark. Mirror Battlesphere, fantastic way of spitting out a bunch of mirror, and also a great finisher. It's a 7-mana 4/7 that when it enters the battlefield, create 4 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. When it attacks, you may tap up to X untapped mirror you control. If you do, Mirror Battlesphere gains +X/+O until end of turn and deals X damage to target player or planeswalker it's attacking. It's a great way to close out games very quickly. Nettlecyst, a staple among Affinity and sometimes 8-cast in Legacy. So it's a 3-mana living weapon. It gets +1. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control with equip 2. Right, Phyrexian Delver, 3 black. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. You lose life equal to that card's mana value. And it's a 3/2 on its own. We have Phyrexian Rebirth, 4 white, destroy all creatures, then create an XX colorless Phyrexian Horror artifact creature token where X is the number of creatures destroyed this way. Good old Psychosis Crawler. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand, so if you have no cards in hand, it just dies. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. And Scrap Trawler, 3-mana 3/2. This used to be a huge portion of Crack Clan Ironworks combo and Eggs combo. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser mana value. Sculpting Steel, 3-mana clone for artifacts. Scythe Claw, it's a 5-mana living weapon. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. It's kind of like quite a spike in that regard. Shine Shadow Snarl, it's the black-white Snarl. Spire of Industry, very nice. It's a City of Brass specifically for artifacts. You have to control an artifact to get colored mana, though. Temple of Silence, we know what that does. Utter End, exile target non-land permanent for 2 black and white as an instant. Vault of the Archangel, a utility land originally from Avacyn Restored, I believe. Taps for colorless, and then for 2 a black and a white, or 2 a white and a black rather, creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. So very good way to just blow out opponents. Then we have Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, 4 and a black. You may it's a legendary sorcery. You can cast it only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, then destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker, and then exile this card. So exile Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. You have Mind Stone, mana rock that can be sacked to draw a card. Mortify, destroy enchantment or creature as a instant 3-mana instant. We have Shattered Angel, 3 white. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may gain 3 life, and it's a 3/3 flyer. It is a Phyrexian Angel. Shimmermere, it's a flash. It's a 3-mana flash 2/2. It says you may cast artifact spells as though they had flash. So it's almost a Vedalken Orrery for your artifacts. And good old Soul Ring, we all know what that does. Swords to Plowshares, 1-mana instant, exile target creature, controller gains life equal to its power. Tainted Field, it's the black-white tainted land. Talisman of Hierarchy, it's the black-white talisman. Victimize, this is a fantastic reanimation spell. So for 2 and a black, you have a sorcery. Choose 2 target creatures in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. So for the 3 mana... So for 3 mana and a creature, you can get back 2 creatures, which is absolutely broken. Then we have completed Huntmaster from March of the Machine. I'm just going to skip over the March of the Machine cards because they're pretty new, so most people know what they do by now. Phyrexian Gargantua, also from March of the Machine. We get some plains, some swamps, and our cardboard stand-in for the Face Commander. It's that extra thick version. And we have some tokens. Let's see, we have 2 Phyrexian Golems that on the backside are a Construct and a Phyrexian Horror. We have 3 Incubate tokens that are the Phyrexian on the other side, so 3 double-sided tokens. 2 Phyrexian Germs that are Mirror on the backside. Let's see, a 3/3 flying, 3/3/3 Flying Angels. So you are still looking for these for the Streets of New Capenna, Elspeth. This is a good way to get them. And on the backside, they are Demon tokens. So Flying Trample at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice another creature. If you can't, it deals 6 damage to you. So I assume that's probably from the Plane Chase stuff. Alright. So now that we've got the main deck covered, let's get to our Plane Chase cards. On the front, we have Spatial Merging. It's a phenomenon. Whenever you encounter Spatial Merging, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal 2 plane cards. Simultaneously planeswalk to both of them. Put all other cards revealed this way on the bottom of your planar deck in any order. Okay. Let's see what else we have. So that's Spatial Merging. Huh. Okay. The Aetherflues. It's on the plane of Equiltana? Equiltana? Yeah. When you planeswalk to the Aetherflues at the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle all other cards revealed this way into your library. Whenever chaos ensues, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. So it can get very interesting very quickly. The Great Forest from Lorwyn. Each creature assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Now, the Great Forest is where Doran the Siege Tower comes from, if I remember correctly. Whenever chaos ensues, creatures you control get +0/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. Panopticon on the plane of Mirrodin. When you planeswalk to Panopticon, draw a card. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Whenever chaos ensues, draw a card. Interesting. Undercity Reaches. On the plane of Ravnica, whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, its controller may draw a card. Whenever chaos ensues, you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Okay, that's a thing. Then we have Nyx on the plane of Theros. Oh, that is beautiful. Non-token creatures are enchantments in addition to their other types. Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever chaos ensues, choose a color. Add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. Wow. That could be very powerful. The Pit on the plane of the Abyss. When you planeswalk to the Pit, each player creates their choice of a 3/3 white angel creature token with flying or a 6/6 black demon creature token with flying and trample. Flying Trample, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice another creature. If you can't, this creature deals 6 damage to you. Whenever chaos ensues, each player sacrifices a non-artifact creature. Esper, on the Plane of Allura. Artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Whenever chaos ensues, creatures you control that are white, blue, and or black become artifacts in addition to their other types until end of turn. Then each artifact creature you control gains Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink until end of turn. Very interesting. Noctimun, on the Plane of Amonkhet. Each creature card in your graveyard has Embalm. Its Embalm cost is equal to its mana cost. And exile a creature card from your graveyard and pay its Embalm cost. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a white zombie in addition to its other types with no mana cost. Embalm only as a sorcery. Whenever chaos ensues, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. And then we have Ketria from the Plane of Ikoria. When you planeswalk to Ketria at the beginning of your upkeep, put your choice of a Vigilance, Menace, or Trample counter on target creature you control. Whenever chaos ensues, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent card. Put that card onto the battlefield or into your hand. Very cool. Well, so that is it for our last commander deck. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. Apologies for all the coughing. It's one of those days. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel in a non-monetary fashion. If you wish to help out the channel in a monetary fashion, we do have a Patreon. It is linked in our About page, or in the About section of the channel. And gives you access to some cool bonuses like Discord and some higher levels. Offer like coaching and a few other things. So if you want to help out financially, that is also an option. So yeah. But until next time, stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.